Because the fact is, like Tom said, you know, it starts with individuals and it moves to action. And I'm going to give just a little bit of history in one quick minute so that it kind of tells you how it happened for me.
I have your document as well.
Okay, thanks. I grew up in Illyria, and I got through the 50s and 60s without doing drugs. So, you know, that was a good thing. And then in 75, I went with my mother to Slovakia, which was the homeland of my grandparents, and it was still behind the Iron Curtain. So I saw and lived in communism for that time, and it was heart-wrenching. It was awful. We always were a patriotic family, but when I came back from Slovakia, that's when I became a patriot. So life fast forward, 30-some years ago, I moved to Geauga County. And I lived there for 30 years, and then this past July, I moved up here to Lake County to be close to my grandchildren. But in the interim, about 2010, I was an independent consultant at the time, so I was able to step back and look at things a little bit differently. And I looked at government and said, whoa, this is a mess. I was doing some work for the Defense Department at the time, and I was like, this is crazy. You know, I couldn't find anybody that wasn't corrupt, that wouldn't lie to me, you know, and wouldn't make promises that they didn't keep. So I became a little obsessed with that, and I dabbled around in, you know, trying to get close to circles like this. And then in 2014, I saw that Portage County was having this camp. I was going to go down and just visit and say hello, and the day before they said, oh my gosh, we've got a problem. This person can't show up. What do you think? Could you come and fill in as a teacher? Well, I did corporate teaching, but I was like, really? So, and I was never a good student of history, so please don't think I'm a history person, because I'm not. But so I went down there, but you know what I knew about this is kids like to have fun when they went. So I became King George III in the class, and they did all this crazy stuff. But that's when I finally said, wait a second, we need to invest in the future. We need to build future patriots, the next great generation of Americans, right? So I just, as an individual again, I'm talking to each of you as individuals. I took on the task of, we're going to create this camp in Geauga. Now the difference between the initial camp and mine was because I'm not a student of history, I had to keep it interesting, so I made it a reenactment camp. And the kids come as time travelers, all right? And they pass through a portal, and then when they're on the other side, they're living in the 1700s. There is nothing over there that's not 1700s. We dress, we talk, we eat. You know, Sam Adams here. You know, and the first day that he's with us, the kids get to go and work for a merchant. They get paid with all these exotic coins that I collected as I traveled Europe for business. And they're all excited about this, you know, and they're not in their hands for 3 minutes before the redcoats come and take them all away. And you should see those little kids. Woo, do they get mad at those redcoats. So, you know, they get the lesson of, you know, oppressive taxation really quickly. And it progresses like that through the various stages. We talk about known warriors, you know, the George Washingtons, for example, and some of the others. We talk about the forgotten warriors. Who in here remembers the Swamp Fox? Anybody?
Swamp Fox.
Right, the Swamp Fox. You know who the Swamp Fox was? He's the guy that we named Marion University, Marion, Ohio, after, because he saved America he was a brigadier general who didn't want to get all dressed up, and so he had this ragtag team, and he had learned guerrilla warfare in the French Indian War. Thank you. And so when we teach the French, you know, he teaches as the Swamp Fox the kids how he beat the British with guerrilla warfare. So it wasn't all about being polite and walking up and shooting the guy in front of you and then saying, I'm sorry, you know, I mean, it doesn't go that way. So then we have the unknown heroes, the farmers and people that come back from Lexington Green. The message that this carries to these kids is, you can be a hero. You don't have to be a brigadier general, you don't have to be a farmer, but you have a role for your country to be a hero. And we need you. So they meet with Thomas Jefferson, he's upset that he has to write this document that he doesn't know what to call it, the kids are like, the older kids are you talking about the Declaration of Independence? And he's like, that sounds like a good name, so, but the next day, and this is where it really gets critical, the kids come back, and they raise their little hands, and they make a pledge. If they want to be a patriot, they have to make a pledge that says, I will honor God. And we just like back then, God's a big part of it. I will protect my country, and I will provide for my family. And I know that freedom is not free. It's a God-given liberty. All right? So they do that, and then they take their own copy of the Declaration of Independence that's printed on cotton paper, and they sign it with a quill and homemade ink. We wrap it up, they send it home, and we hope that somewhere along the line, 10 years from now maybe, they'll look back on that and say, yeah, I remember that. What was that, the Constitution? So it's 5 days, they come at 9 o'clock in the morning, they leave at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We're a nonprofit, so we only charge $50 for one child. It's unheard of. Everybody's like, that's crazy, you should raise your price. No, because we want everybody to be able to afford it, and if we have kids, which sometimes we do, Job and Family Services calls me, and they've got a family, they heard about the camp, they want the kids to come, we scholarship them in. How do we do that? We do it with donations, okay? This camp was started by, you're gonna laugh, by me selling raffle tickets for a stay at a timeshare that I had at the time. We had to raise $5,000 to start this camp. I mean, there's all these supplies, and it goes on and on. But so when they leave, whether you're an adult participating in this, and we have about 50 reenactors every year. Now, some of them are group leaders, and that's just as far as you can march along with the kids and kind of be the den mother, and keep them in line. Then you're a group leader. The Teen Patriots come and they assist the reenactors. So they play a role in costume. So we have about 50 reenactors every year. We take about 100 children every year. And then there's 10 to 20 teens. So far the first camp was in 2015, and we will be doing it in Geauga County this year, the last full week of July, and we will be doing one in Lake County, July 12th through the 16th. Now, the first hoop that we had to jump through was a location. And thank God, and Brian Massey, we got the Lake County Health Department, because my criteria is no face masks. We're not doing that. You didn't wear face masks in the 1700s. So the health department said, we've got the park. So we're doing it at Hidden Lake, which is a Lake Metro Park camp. So it's a great location for this, and they're working with us very well. But before we can do the fundraising, before we can do other things, we've got to adjust the website, because Guardians of Liberty is the umbrella that this falls under. Liberty Camp, whether it's Geauga or Lake, is an event, all right? So we're going to be having to adjust the website, and we have a slight problem with that. If anybody here knows a webmaster, please see me afterwards, because the man who does our website fell on some very hard health issues. So my backup, because we were smart enough not to put all our eggs in one basket, our backup just had quadruple bypass surgery. So the website is locked in place, and we've got to get it updated so that we can then go and do fundraising and start registration and everything. But the critical parts is the location, the fundraising, the marketing, and of course getting the website put together. But we need, number one, we need kids to come to this. It starts with first grade, go through 7th, they're all time travelers at that age. 8th grade through college are Teen Patriot reenactors. And then there's all of this, which I typed up today, just so you get an idea of what's involved. I mean, the food alone, this year, because of COVID, we're gonna be wrapping everybody's food individually in butcher paper with string, just like they would have wrapped up food, back in the day. But, you know, the kids play games, but they're the old hoop and stick and, you know, really 1,700 games. They do arts and crafts. We have a group of native Indians that are amazing. You can see all this on the website. I'm going to leave some cards up here. If you want one, please pick them up. But you can go to the website, libertycampgeauga.com. It's a 5-minute video. It will show you camp in what I'm told, and some of you here have seen this, but everyone that has seen it thus far is like, wow, it makes me, you know, I feel like a patriot when I see the camp. And that's what the adults say that come and volunteer. You can volunteer for 1 day in some of these roles. You can volunteer for all 5 days. But I hope that we can get some volunteers because I can't do it without adult help. I hope we get some support financially because we can't do it without financial help. You know, Lake County's a startup. We're going to be using Geauga County's materials, but like we have a ship that's 10 feet long that has to be transported. So we need a vehicle because we have to have the Boston Tea Party, right? How are we going to do this without a tea party? So you know, there's a lot of pieces and parts that bring this together. It's not an easy undertaking. Tom will tell you. He's there every year.
If I might also put a pitch out, next Thursday, March 4th, Linda's having a meeting at her house, and I will send out information about that on email, so you don't have to memorize it now. But 6 o'clock at her house, which is in Menor, it's going to be a meeting where we're going to continue planning it. And she indicated that the first hurdle was finding a location. And again, thanks to Brian's efforts with Ron Graham, the Lake County Director of Health here in our county, we have a pathway forward, but there are so many more things to do. In July 12th, believe it or not, even though it's snow out, there's still snow outside, July 12th is just around the corner. Yeah. So Linda, thank you very much.